Hello viewers, welcome to K Diagnostics. Dio here. Today we have a 2008 Toyota RAV4 with a 3.5 liter. The complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light remains on the dash while the engine is running. The customer also stated that the four-wheel drive and the VSC light remain on the dash while the engine is running. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to confirm the customer's complaint. After confirming the customer's complaint, we're going to connect a scan tool to the vehicle to see what kind of trouble codes we have in the engine computer. So now let's confirm the customer's complaint. So right there, as you can hear, the engine is running. And the check engine light is on the dash. So right there, check engine light is on, VSC light is on, four-wheel drive light is on, and maintenance required light is on as well. We have this light on, we have the VSC light on, and check engine light is on, and tire pressure monitor light is on as well. So customer's complaint confirmed. So now I'm going to turn off the engine. The engine seems to run fine. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the engine. I'm going to get the scan tool connected. I'll get the scan tool connected. After I get the scan tool connected, I'll bring you guys back up so we can scan the engine computer. I got the scan tool connected. I'm going to bring it up. So right there, right off the bat, we have 3 trouble codes in the engine computer. The first trouble code is P0300, so P0300, random/multiple cylinder misfire detected. And then the second one is P0302, cylinder 2 misfire detected. And the third one is P0356, ignition coil F primary/secondary circuit. So the P0356 coil is actually a code for the 6th coil, so the coil for cylinder 6. Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy to diagnose and fix. We have a cylinder or multiple cylinders that are misfiring. Okay, and when the engine runs, it doesn't feel like the engine is misfiring. I mean, it runs pretty smoothly. Okay, so this is a very minor misfire. So let's scroll down and see what else we have in the other control units. We have the same codes set as history codes. We got the same codes in the TCM. We have a C1201 trouble code in the ABS control unit, and it says engine/EV control system fault. Interesting. We got some codes in the HVAC control unit, and we have the same codes on the generic side of the tool. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. We know what usually causes a misfire. A misfire can be caused by lack of fuel or lack of spark or a mechanical problem in a specific cylinder. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the engine computer. We're going to look at misfire counters. Let's see if we have misfire counters available to us, so we can see exactly what cylinder is misfiring. So we're going to go to data display. So right there, misfire data. We're going to click on misfire data. Now, the way this engine sounds, I don't think we have a mechanical problem, but you never know, okay? We can never assume. So we're gonna customize this list. I'm just interested in my misfire counts. All right, so that's all. We're gonna list these PIDs. So we're gonna watch our misfire counts right now. I'm gonna start the engine. Let's put an engine RPM data PID here. Engine RPM. So right now, the engine is not misfiring. It might have misfired at some point, but now it's not misfiring. Okay, so since it's not misfiring right now, as you can see, our misfire counts are not counting. So that's a good thing. Let's back out. I want to look at my fuel trim numbers. Let's go to engine data 1. I want to look at my short-term and long-term fuel trim numbers. So let's customize this list. Short-term, long-term, short-term, long-term, fuel system, and engine speed. And O2 sensors too. Let's graph our O2 sensors as well. Okay, so we are in closed loop, okay, and we have 8.56% on long-term bank 1, and we have 7.78% on long-term bank 2, and then short-term bank 2 we have 7%, and short-term bank 1 we have 8.56%. So when you add these two together, okay, so long-term bank 1 and short-term bank 1, we have about positive, I would say positive like 14%, which is slightly high, but nothing crazy, okay? I'm gonna increase the engine RPMs. Our numbers don't change much. So these numbers look good to me, okay? I don't see a problem here right now. So I'm going to back out. Okay, so let me look at the code again. Let's see if we have some freeze frame data here. I want to see when these codes were set. So no freeze frame data. Let's back out. We're probably going to have to go to the generic side of the tool. Let's go to generic functions. Let's go to freeze frame data. I mean, this engine is pretty smooth. I don't feel a misfire. Okay, so the P0300 trouble code set at idle. So the engine speed was 735 RPMs. We were in closed loop. Okay, let's look at our short-term. Short-term fuel trim bank 1 was 7%. Short-term fuel trim bank 2 was 18%. So bank 2 was high. And then long-term was... So what I'm noticing here is that we have high positive numbers, okay, on short-term and long-term, okay? Now, when you have high positive numbers like this can be caused by a vacuum leak or a dirty mass airflow sensor, okay, or even worn out spark plugs. Like I've seen worn out spark plugs cause these type of short-term and long-term fuel trim numbers on a Toyota. Okay, the numbers are to be slightly high, okay, but on the positive side. So let's back out. Let's look at the other code. Freeze frame. I guess we only have a freeze frame for one code. So right now I'm trying to figure out what's causing the misfire. Okay, is it missing spark sometimes? I don't think this misfire is constant, because right now the engine sounds smooth. We don't have a problem right now. Is it missing fuel sometimes? So we don't know. We need to determine that. I want to look at some data, but I'm gonna have to back out of the OE side of the tool. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the engine off. I'm gonna turn the key back on. So we have a code for cylinder number 2, right? Cylinder 2, and then cylinder 6. So this over here is cylinder 6. So the coil on cylinder 6 is most likely not working. So let's look at the cylinder layout first to figure out where cylinder 2 and cylinder 6 is on this engine. So let's go to ignition test. We should have our cylinder layout right here. Okay, so here is the cylinder layout. Okay, so the front of the engine is on the passenger side. So the bank in front of the vehicle next to the grille will be cylinder 2, 4, and 6. So cylinder 6 and 2, which are misfiring, are right here in front of the vehicle. Okay, as you can see, it says front of vehicle. So this is easy to get to. That's good. Okay, so now the other thing that I want to do is, let's back out. I'm going to go to the generic side of the tool. I'm just going to look at the data once again while the engine is running. I'm going to look at my fuel trim, long-term and short-term fuel trim numbers. If the numbers look good right now, I'm going to do a clear flood mode test. I'm going to listen to how this engine cranks. We're going to do a long crank. Maybe we can do a relative compression test to see how good this engine is mechanically. If it passes the relative compression test, we're going to go ahead and do a tune-up on this one. I'm going to recommend a tune-up on this, and maybe cleaning the mass airflow sensor as well. So let's go to display current data. Okay, so I'm going to start the engine. Okay, so we are in closed loop. I'm looking at my short-term and long-term fuel trim numbers over here. Long-term, bank 1, we have 8.6%. Long-term fuel trim, bank 2, we have 7.8%. And then short-term, we have 3.9 on bank 1. And short-term fuel trim, bank 2, we have 1.6%. So we don't have high numbers, and these numbers right now are within spec, okay? Because the rule of thumb is plus or minus 10% on each bank. Plus or minus 10% long term plus short term. Okay? And you've heard me say this countless times here on the channel. So I'm gonna rev up the engine a little bit. Let's look at those numbers. Our numbers go down when I rev up the engine. So that's good, guys, okay? We're good. I'm gonna back out. Okay, so I'm gonna recommend a tune-up on this one. I'm gonna get the scan tool out of the way. So I'm going to turn off the engine. So I'm gonna step on the accelerator pedal all the way, and then I'm gonna crank the engine. Let's see if we can put this on clear flood mode. It looks like we got no clear flood mode on this one. So I'm pressing the accelerator pedal all the way. I'm going to try to crank it again. No clear flood mode on this thing. Okay, so it looks like we cannot put this vehicle on clear flood mode. Okay, The other thing I could do is I can maybe find the injector fuse and then disconnect it and crank it to see how it's going to crank. But I don't think we have a compression. I don't think we have a compression issue with this engine. This engine sounds good. Just listen. Okay, so an engine that has a compression problem doesn't rev up this way. So I'm gonna turn off the engine. Let's go under the hood. I'm gonna recommend a tune-up on this one. Okay, I feel confident just recommending the tune-up on this. We're gonna replace the plugs and we're gonna replace the ignition coil on cylinder number 6. And after that, this is gonna be fixed. Okay, let's go under the hood and do that. I wanna do a relative compression test before I do a tune-up on this vehicle. So I looked up our engine performance wiring diagram off camera, and there is a fuse in this fuse box that supplies power to the ignition coils. So actually, instead of removing the fuse to cut power to the coils, we can just remove the relay. So this relay over here, relay ignition 2, we can remove that. So this is going to prevent power from going to the coils. After removing this relay, this car should not start. Okay, so I'm going to use these test leads. Okay, so we can do our relative compression test. This is gonna allow us to rule out any mechanical problems that we might have with this engine. I don't believe we have a mechanical problem, but it doesn't hurt to double check. So I'm gonna connect my test leads to the battery. So black alligator clamp is gonna go to battery negative, and then yellow one is gonna go to battery positive. And then we're gonna connect our test leads to our lab scope. So this is gonna go over here. So we're gonna set up our lab scope. Okay, so now let's go in the vehicle and crank the engine. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna AC couple it. Okay, and now since we removed the relay that sends power to the ignition coils, the engine should not start. All right, so that looks good. We're gonna pause this. Okay, so this looks dirty. Okay, we have a lot of noise over here, but as you can see, we do have nice humps, okay, that go up and down. Let me turn the key off. Okay, although we have a lot of noise in this waveform, but as you can see, we have nice humps across the screen, which tells me that our compression is good. We don't have a compression issue. Okay, so this over here is a good thing. Okay, as you can see, we have, nice and clean, consistent up and down, okay, peaks and valleys across the screen. Okay, this over here shows us the amount of effort or amperage that the starter is drawing to crank the engine, okay, which is causing this voltage drop and rises across the lab scope screen. So this is good. We don't have a mechanical problem. So now I feel more comfortable replacing just the plugs. Okay, we can do a tune-up on this. This is going to be fixed. So now let's go back under the hood and do our tune-up. So we did our relative compression test. We don't have a mechanical issue with this engine, so I'm gonna reinstall our relay. Okay, so we are done with that test. I'm gonna reinstall the cover for this fuse box. All right, so we're good to go. So now we're gonna do a tune-up on this. We're gonna replace all the spark plugs and the coil for cylinder number 6. Now, according to our service info, cylinder 6 is this one. Okay, cylinder 6 is on the bank that faces the front of the vehicle. So this is cylinder 2 and cylinder 4 and cylinder 6. Okay, so luckily 6 is easy to get to, but the bank against the firewall is hard to get to. So we're gonna have to remove the intake manifold to get to that bank. Okay, so I'm going to remove the top end of the air filter box. So I'm gonna disconnect this hose over here. We're gonna disconnect this tube. So I'm sure after we replace all our plugs, this is gonna be fixed. So we're gonna disconnect this electrical connector here. Wow, this thing over here was loose. It wasn't even tight. Interesting. Okay, Mr. Roosevelt, I'm gonna give your car some love, okay? I'm gonna give... Yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna undo all these bolts over here so we can remove the intake manifold. So as you can see, our intake manifold is now moving, so that's good. The manifold is about to come out. Now we're gonna disconnect these. We're gonna disconnect these hoses over here on the throttle body. Okay, so it looks like we have a bracket back here that we have to remove. So there is a bolt, a bracket over here that we have to undo. So here comes our intake manifold. So here it is. We're gonna get the intake manifold out of the way. We're gonna block off these openings over here because we don't want any bolt to fall in here when we remove the coils back there. So we got this blocked off, so that's good. So now the next step is going to be disconnecting our ignition coils. All right, so we got the coils disconnected. You have to be careful when you disconnect these coils because these locking tabs can break, and these tabs break very easily. So you have to be careful when you disconnect those. So now we're gonna remove the coils. So here comes our first coil, and then second coil. I don't know why they put an Allen bolt on the coil back there. Actually, I'm going to replace that with a 10mm bolt from this coil. I'm gonna put the regular X head bolt over here, not this Allen. Wow, this plug wasn't tight enough. It was loose. So here comes our first plug. See how worn out it is. This plug is worn out. So here are our new spark plugs. We're gonna install these NGK plugs, these iridium ones. This is some good stuff. All right, so we got the first plug tightened. So now we're gonna replace the second plug. Man, these plugs were really loose. Jeez. So here comes our second plug. This is worn out as well, and someone put Autolite plugs on this. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's the third plug. Wow, this plug is bad. See that? It's hot.
This part has not been changed.
No. Now, I'm gonna show you the new one. Can you tell the difference?
Yeah.
All right, we have replaced all the 3 spark plugs back here. All of them are tightened. So now we're gonna reinstall our ignition coils. Now these ignition coils are going back where they were. All right, so we are done with this side. So now I'm gonna clean up this intake manifold mating surface here, and then we're gonna reinstall the intake manifold. All right, so this surface is cleaned. So now we're gonna install our intake manifold. Now, before we install our intake manifold, we're gonna replace the intake manifold gasket. I'm gonna get the old gaskets out, and we're gonna install new gaskets here. We're gonna give this engine some love. Right, Roosevelt?
Yes, sir.
So we got new gaskets installed here. All right, so we got new gaskets. installed on our intake manifold. So now we're gonna install it. So now we're gonna torque the intake manifold bolt. The torque spec for the intake manifold bolt is 140 inch-pound. So we're gonna torque this first bolt to 140 inch-pound. So that's good. So now we're going to torque this one. All right, so we torqued all these bolts. We're good to go. All right, so everything back here is back together. So now we're gonna replace the plugs up here. I'm gonna remove this first coil first. So this is coil number 6. We're gonna replace this coil. Okay. All right, so we got all the spark plugs tightened. So now I'm gonna install my new coil. We said that we were gonna put a new coil on cylinder 6, which is this one over here. Okay, we have a new Denso coil made in Japan, so that's good. We're gonna install it. All right, so we got everything reinstalled. So now I'm gonna put coolant in the coolant reservoir, and then we're gonna start the engine. So now let's go in the vehicle and start the engine. So as you can hear, the engine is running. The engine sounds great. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the scan tool connected to the vehicle, and after that I'm gonna erase the trouble codes. I erased all the codes, so now let's start the engine. As you can see, all our lights went off. Just the maintenance required light is still on the dash. I'm gonna erase that too. So right there, the maintenance light is erased. So I'm gonna start the engine. We replaced this coil. We replaced all the plugs. We don't have any leaks around the engine, so we're good to go. So now let's take this vehicle for a test drive. When we get back from the test drive, we're gonna wrap up this video. All right, so this is fixed. The engine runs great. The vehicle has a lot of power. Okay, the check engine light didn't come back on, so we're good to go. Now I'm gonna turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. All right guys, it's getting late. I'm gonna leave this video here. This is how you diagnose and fix a not severe misfire on a Toyota RAV4. I hope you liked the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching. See you next time.